Hi, this is my B8.5 S4 that needs a rebuild. This is why. As any other reasonable human being, I figured why not buy a parts car, an A4 that will donate all my front end and passenger side parts to this car and make it whole again. And well, as we discovered in the last video, no. I messed up. I messed up so freaking bad. I cannot believe this actually happened to me. I feel so dumb. This car is not of the right color. Something I completely overlooked is that this is the bumper off of the S4. There's two gray colors in this generation of S4s and A4s. There's the Monsoon Gray and there is the Daytona Gray. They're very close, especially on camera. It's really hard to tell, and that's why I didn't really catch that in the Copart pictures. And that means, well, I don't really know what that means. That means I need to make some decisions. Here are my options. I can stick to my original plan, put the parts off of the A4 onto the S4, and then eventually maybe respray them or wrap the car and call it a day. Option number two is fix the mechanical damage on this car, sell it, and buy the correct parts car. Option three, put the parts on and just leave it the way it is, which is, I'm not gonna do option three. I could probably handle the mismatched paint for a little while, but sooner or later it would definitely have to be wrapped or resprayed. So I guess first things first, I should find out what it would take to fix this car. So far, all I know is that it starts. We did manage to start it the day that we received it. Oh, she's trying. We know that it misfires, not like crazy, but definitely noticeably. And we also know that it has zero coolant and it has a bunch of coolant residue all over the engine bay. Now, just the overheating issue alone isn't really that big of a concern. I've had cars that used to overheat and I fixed that. Thermostats, water pumps, coolant leaks, whatnot is all relatively simple stuff to fix. But I don't think this car would have made it on a Copart auction if it was simply overheating. I wonder if the previous owner drove it overheated for too long and blew a head gasket or something along those lines, and that's why we're experiencing these misfires that I mentioned. So there is a solid chance that we have a blown motor due to overheating issues. Let's start with reading codes. Luckily, Top Gun has sent me just the thing. If you're not familiar, Top Gun is a company that does make some pretty nice car products that usually involve a decent amount of electrical stuff and software, and they actually do a really good job. As many of you guys know, I've been using OBD11, which is a great tool for Audi and Volkswagen, but that's the problem. It's only limited to Audis and Volkswagens. Occasionally, I end up getting random cars like Toyotas and domestics and whatnot. It's pretty rare, but it does happen, as well as Porsches. OBD11 cannot do Porsche, which is very annoying, but I believe Top Gun should be able to. And this thing is not just a code reader. Once we go into our app, as you can see, I already downloaded the packages for Audi and Volkswagen, but they have an incredibly long list of all makes and models that you can just download, and that will give you ability to scan pretty much anything. Let's see, do they actually have Porsche? That would be awesome. Yeah, they sure do. And I definitely plan on getting a Porsche at some point. So we're gonna go into Audi. Our car is an automatic here, and we need to type in our VIN, or we can just have the scanner read it. We confirm the VIN, we go into USA market, click OK, and this brings us to the menu, all the little functions that we can do on this car. For example, we can do all kinds of resets for our oil or service. We can also do a throttle adaptation. We can access all of our different modules. So I can read my airbags, I can read my traction control system, all of that stuff, which is great. So here's a huge collection of codes from my ECU, which sort of kind of give us an idea of what we're dealing with. So something I want to check on this car is our timing chain stretch, because I wonder if we have a timing chain issue. That would explain a lot. After doing some research, I found out that high fuel pressure code can actually be caused by a stretched timing chain, which I know sounds counterintuitive, but it is true because of how the injectors are activated by the camshaft. So if you have your timing chain stretched, the camshaft ends up being at the wrong position and activating injectors too early or something along those lines, and that causes high fuel pressure codes. We're gonna go into our motor, data stream, and search phase. It's reading 0 degrees. Something isn't right here. Potentially, I really doubt it's the 117.99 or whatever. That might just be some sort of a max value. So it's either this thing is not reading it properly or our timing is just that bad, which I don't think is even physically possible. Camshaft RPM, we get that. Camshaft position, 117.9. Potentially it's this one, camshaft adjustment, 6.25, but that's supposed to be in degrees. Camshaft adjustment, 28 degrees, might be that. Okay, so I'm not really sure. It looks like this app might be using slightly different wording from softwares I've used previously. And it's either our camshaft adjustment is just incredibly bad at 28 degrees, or I'm looking at the wrong numbers. However, like this car clearly is misfiring really bad. We definitely have some sort of a timing chain issue. Well, not definitely, but I'm very, very certain. I think that's the most likely scenario here. But I haven't heard any actual like engine destroying sounds from this thing, so I'm hoping that we're good on that front. And if we are, we'll probably need a new engine or at least a head rebuild. I'm hoping it doesn't come to that. Hopefully we can just get away by doing a chain. But something that this scanner does have that others don't. Let's go into door electronics. Let's go into our driver's side. And then let's go into active test. Click on lowering window regulator, and I'm gonna click start. Window goes up. I don't know if you guys can actually see that. Raising window regulator, start. Isn't this awesome? I've never seen anything that can do that, and this is absolutely great. I love it. And it has these active tests in a bunch of different modules. So I can go into my motor, go into our active tests, and let's say we want to test our fan 1 control circuit. Start. And here you go, you can hear our fan going off. We can check our fuel pump, a bunch of different valves. I can hear my turbocharger recirculation valve. Let's click start. Hear that clicking? So basically this allows you to check a bunch of different components, which I think is fantastic. Besides being able to read live data, you can actually make these things work. And I don't think other scanners I've used before have that option, or if they do, I don't know where to find it. And of course we can read our live data by channel, which is pretty standard. The one thing I haven't been able to find is actual coding. I'm not sure if that's available on this. I haven't been able to find it. So potentially we can't actually code in new functions like you can with OBD11. But regardless, I think this is a great value product. In the description of this video, you can find the link to Amazon, where this thing is $60 currently on sale versus the original $80. On top of that, you can use my promo code, which is TOPSCAN0625, and get additional 5% off. Even though your first year is completely free, there is a $49 charge per year for access to all of the software. It is well worth the $49 to be able to scan all makes and models to this extent, as well as test all of these functions. And besides adding an awesome tool to your collection, you're also going to be supporting this channel. So thank you, Top Gun. I'm definitely going to be keeping one of these in one of my cars from now on. So I've spent the last, I don't know, 5 days trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And I think we're going to rebuild this car with the wrong colored parts off of the A4, because I've waited long enough to fix this thing, and I'm not willing to wait any longer. And I think sooner or later we're just gonna wrap this car. Considering the fact that I'm planning to keep this for myself and not sell it, I can live with the fact that some of the panels are gonna be slightly different colors under the wrap. And it's also gonna be pretty interesting for me to try wrapping, because I've never actually wrapped an entire car before. It's probably gonna be miserable, but it's definitely worth a shot. And I'm simply not willing to wait to fix this car anymore. Let's get to it. In theory, the door should be free to go. There we go. That's one heavy boy. Obviously, we're going to retain the S4 door card. While we're here, let's remove this T30 for the fender. Next, let's do the same on the parts car. under. There we go. That actually closes very well. Come on in, good sir. Now, moment of truth. Is it gonna close properly? Kind of looks like it's just hitting this hinge. Or not hinge, but whatever you want to call this thing. So let's see if we can just loosen it up and maybe adjust the location of it. I don't think it looks bent, but it could be. So let's just swap it with the one on the parts car. Please, 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 please. Oh, wow, okay. Huh. We might have a bad hinge. So the hinge itself is actually in decent shape, but this piece right here that the hinge is bolted to, it is dented in, which is bad, which is very, very bad. Now and then I have a thought come across my mind, and it's whether this car might actually be too far gone. Because fixing something like this, I mean, that is very far out of my expertise. And there's very few places that will do it, and the places that will do it will charge a lot of money. You can see the door is sitting too high up. So I'm thinking if we take the door off again and hit the bottom hinge with a hammer in that direction, that might do something. I mean, that's the best I've got. There's not really any other options out here. So let's give it a shot. I definitely think we got some movement. In fact, I'm positive it did, because you can see the separating here just a tiny bit. Let's see what our door thinks about that. Please, 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 please. Oh, I overdid it. Are you kidding me? Oh man, that's ridiculous. Now we have the opposite. There's too much gap here. My God. That's why people like me shouldn't be allowed to do things like this. Still makes a little bit of a... Okay. All right. I think that's it. Now let's see if we can make any progress on this fender. We can now pull this guy out, just like that. And now with that pulled out, here are the two T30s that we need to remove, as well as two more down at the bottom there. Now all that we have left is two more T30s right around this area. And obviously they are going to be hard to reach and hard to get to. I would have to sit here with a wrench for a while trying to unscrew that. So considering the fact that we really do not care about this fender, I'm just going to do this. Be free. This thing here is going to be so much fun. But the good news is that this bracket here survived just fine. So the fender should line up pretty well. The metal here on the side skirt looks okay as well. The only thing we are going to have to do some metal work is this. And unfortunately, if you can't tell, I'm not on Matt Armstrong level. So I'm going to have to bang this out, use a pull ram, and try and straighten it out that way. Now we can start removing our front end, starting with the bumper. Now, you don't really have to remove your wheels to remove a bumper on these cars, but because I'm gonna have to do the fender later, I might as well take the wheel off now, because I'll definitely need to have it off for then. Plus, I also need to remove the steering rack on this car. Pop it out, there we go. Push down. We need to release this AC condenser. Push down on this top clip right here and pull it up. throw it away. We don't want to disconnect it because then we're going to be releasing all the harmful chemicals that are in there. Disconnect our intercooler. There's our water. I think now we can get this radiator out. There we go. Now I can disconnect my fan. Speaking of fans, I think you should subscribe. It looks like this fan connection is really corroded. So I wonder if these fans were just not working because of that, and that's why this car has been overheating so much. Okay, now with both headlights removed and fully remove our radiator support. What's cool about this radiator support is that it is a direct fit on an S4. Luckily, they did not change them like they did on B7 generations, where the S4 radiator support is different from the A4. Now we need to figure out what to do with our fan situation. So obviously this here is our S4 radiator. I do have a new radiator, but I do not have new fans. When I look at the fan itself, all the blades look okay. Even the circumference of the fan looks okay. The only thing that is broken is the shroud. So I wonder if I can integrate these fans into this shroud. But now that I'm looking at this, this is significantly larger than this, and that probably wouldn't work, and I'm just an idiot. These things are stupid expensive. I really don't want to buy another one. All this is garbage except for the AC condenser. Okay, well, so I was under the impression that we would have seen some cracking in this carbon fiber intake piece if we had any frame rail damage. Well, looks like I was wrong. So I'm just very briefly mounting the radiator support. And as you can see, we have this hole lined up and we have this hole lined up. And even though we're not really secure anywhere else, this is about the level at which it would sit. But if we come look here at the frame rail, that is nowhere close to where it needs to be. I mean, deep in there you can see that hole that we're supposed to line up with right here, and well, we're nowhere close to it. So we definitely have a bent frame rail, which is something one of you guys have commented in the previous videos, and yeah, I guess that is the case. And I mean, we do have this piece bent as well. So I was kind of sort of anticipating the fact that I'm gonna have to straighten some things out, which I'm sort of kind of not really equipped for. We have that pull ram that I have straightened a frame rail out with before, but it was a Kia. It had a very soft frame. And I never managed to actually make it perfect. So I think that's a task for another day. I am pretty spent and I still have to edit this video because it's coming out tomorrow morning. So something I was kind of thinking about this week is the fact that, as you can see, I'm having a hard time finishing these projects in one video because each video takes a week to make. And within a week, there's a very limited amount of things I can do, considering the fact that I still have my main job and family and other things in life. So I would like to hear from you guys whether or not it makes sense for me to post these sort of kind of incomplete videos every week, or if I should decrease the frequency of the videos and do it maybe once every 2-3 weeks whenever I do finish a project. And that way you guys will have a complete video from the start to the end, hopefully. And I won't feel as much stress trying to keep up with the schedule. The scheduling is an issue because I'm trying to keep the YouTube algorithm happy. Everybody says that being consistent with your uploads matters a lot. But I feel like at this point, I would rather keep you happy than YouTube. So basically, yeah, just tell me in the comments what you would rather have. More videos or more complete more rare videos. I really appreciate you guys watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.